This is our Monash University robotics project for the Faculty of Engineering. The site is located in Bunurong country, and we acknowledge the Bunurong people as the traditional owners of this land. At Monash University's Clayton campus, the project was the refurbishment of this 1960s building, just for the ground floor refurb, but no changes to the upper levels. It also involved the refurbishment of the double height high voltage lab into an experimentation space. The robotics platform brings together academics and researchers working in robotics from multiple different departments into a dedicated research environment, promoting cross-disciplinary collaboration. Here are some of the robotics the team work with. The existing research spaces were all located separately across the university. Office-based workspaces largely for computer programming, and workshop spaces where robots are in operation. Just some siting diagrams. That's the existing space with the high voltage shed at the rear, and just some of the existing site conditions. The new Woodside building, just at the end of Alliance Lane, meant that Alliance Lane was going to become a key pedestrian thoroughfare. We considered the existing courtyards and started to look at this building in red, building 36A, that meant this area was largely seen as a loading dock with inactive facades all around, blocking view connections. So we suggested the brief should also include that building 36A and the demolition of it, which meant we could activate the facade all around and connect Alliance Lane with the engineering courtyard, and importantly, allow for connections with adjacent industry partners and the makerspace across the courtyard. That's the existing view to the courtyard with building 36A in the way. We looked at the original 1960s building and obviously needed to work around the structural grid. Internally, the existing corridors had no light and no sense of what was happening behind frosted glass doors. On Alliance Lane, we realised that what looked like a junkyard was actually materials testing underway, with student work spilling out to the lane. We saw Alliance Lane as a place of action and testing. It was previously also a crash testing site. And we wondered what the new Alliance Lane might be adjacent to a robotics lab. And we thought it might be a place where you might meet a robot and that human robotic testing would spill out to the lane. So just looking at the 3D massing, you can see Alliance Lane here, that's building 36A and the high voltage lab. Removing building 36A provided more facade frontage. We pushed out some of the robotics program to allow for oblique views in, and proposed a new shade canopy as a unifying element that allows the robotics work to be on show. The half round shapes coming from the original materials experiments we saw on the lane, with new landscape and seat elements contributing to the public realm. Here's the canopy. When only a small portion of a building's being renovated, there's much discussion about getting the balance right. And you can see here the robotics activity within and one of the laneway seats. So to the canopy system, we thought that the canopy design could be expressed as a series of repeated discrete parts, with robotic articulated joints and legs that might look like they could get up and walk away, connecting with the landscape and seating elements. You can see here us working around some of the retained elements of the existing building and how the canopy starts to work around them with robots on display. We hoped that the canopy could be a balance of something robust, yet also fine and delicate. You can see here the experimentation space with a new courtyard and frontage where research and experiments are on display. It's now connected to the makerspace across the courtyard where it's possible to host events and show experiments to industry partners. We reviewed the functional brief and proposed that it should, rather than look like this, should look more like something like this. Here's the plan, with the public spaces grouped down the end with the experimentation space. It meant we could sort of get those activated interiors and spill out with the entry there. I won't go through too much of the interiors, but here they are. You can see, I suppose, with new transparency and light, and we've even brought some steel into the workshop spaces and the kitchen interiors as well. But obviously the key still focus for the project was the canopy. I'm going to pass you to Rob Hillman now to talk through some of the details and testing.
Thanks, Thanks Mel. The design of the awning went through many different iterations. We tested different profiles, set outs, connection junctions, and discussed many times whether or not there should be a gap between the flutes. Through this refinement of the detailing, we were aiming to express the tectonic nature of the canopy, a language of assembly. We carefully described the assembly sequence, essentially documenting to shop drawing level. Due to the tight construction program, each fluted element was scheduled and located with key plans to avoid the shop drawing review process on site. And here are the prototypes on site. You can see the slots to allow the half rounds to be installed around the primary structure. We carefully arranged the kinked leg elements under the canopy to achieve just the right amount of animation. The set out for the canopy allowed for tolerance by allocating the 2 flutes in front of each existing column as components that expand or contract to make up for the inconsistencies of the existing structure. You can see that in the next few slides here.
Sorry, Hilly.
We worked painstakingly around the existing building with significant services above and below the ground floor level. The canopy weaves itself above new pop-ups, below existing bridges, and it terminates towards the end to allow for the retention of mature trees. In these areas, we introduced smaller awnings to protect individual windows, aligning with quieter function of these spaces.
Sorry, Hilly. This project brief was really to deliver an internal fit out for the refurbishment of the building. We think the outcome is achieved well beyond that, all within the original budget and timeframe during COVID. We were able to show the engineering faculty the reciprocal benefits of opening up and contributing to the campus, and were therefore able to significantly improve the public realm outcomes of the project, well beyond what was expected or requested. The transformation from this to this and this to this. Thanks very much.